Have you ever stood in a room full of people who know you better than anyone, and felt invisible? On my birthday, while I held my breath for a song with my name in it, every voice in the room shouted my sister's instead. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I turned 29 on a Sunday, which in my family is both a blessing and a trap. Sundays belong to Mom's roasts, Dad's sports commentary, and the ritual where everyone argues about who takes home leftovers, but somehow I'm the one washing the pans. I told myself this year would be different. This year, I booked the grill shelter in our old neighborhood park, ordered a cake that actually had my name spelled right, and even bought a stack of cobalt blue paper plates because blue is the only color that doesn't disappear against potato salad. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Don't forget the big knife for the brisket. Proud of you for organizing, sweetheart. She added 2 hearts and a cake emoji. I smiled, then packed the car like I was moving house. Cooler, folding chairs, a Bluetooth speaker, the banner that said Happy Birthday in gold letters, and the small gift bags I'd made up for the kids. I even included little bubbles, because bubbly kids make for calmer parents. That was my theory, anyway. The sky was the kind of blue that makes you believe small things will go right. I drove past the bakery on 7th to pick up the cake. Vanilla with raspberry layers, textured frosting like waves, simple, clean. I'd asked them to pipe, Happy Birthday, Noah, in Navy script. I spelled it slowly for the girl behind the counter when I ordered it 2 days ago. Twice. She'd written it down with care. She'd smiled and said, Got it. Inside, the place smelled like cinnamon and butter and childhood. I gave my name, waited by the glass case, and watched a toddler smear her palms against the display while her dad pretended not to notice. The box the baker slid across to me was heavy. Good sign. I lifted the lid a crack to peek and felt my stomach wobble. Happy Birthday, Lena. It read. Navy script. Flourish under the A. A single sugar flower in pale pink. I blinked once. Twice. Then I cleared my throat and kept my voice soft. Hey, sorry, that's the wrong name. It should say Noah. The girl frowned, checked her order pad, bit her lip. It says Lena here. Is Lena? Not you. Nope, I said, trying to keep it light. Definitely not me. She called to the back. A man in a white cap and arms dusted with powdered sugar came out, gloved hands up like a doctor. We can scrape and repipe, he said. 10 minutes. 15, tops. I glanced at the time. We were meeting at 11. Setup would take at least 20 minutes, and I'd promised Dad I'd get the charcoal started before he arrived so he could save his back for the steaks. I exhaled and nodded. Okay. 10's fine. While I waited, I texted Mom, small cake hiccup. Be there closer to 10:45. She sent back a thumbs up and a picture of her centerpiece, sunflowers in a mason jar, twine bough. It looked like every centerpiece she'd ever made. I swallowed the tiny prickle of resentment and told myself I was being dramatic. It's just frosting. Not a prophecy. By the time I pulled into the park, the breeze off the pond was already tugging at the gold banner. A kid on a scooter zoomed past my bumper like he was racing for a trophy. The grill shelter smelled like smoke from yesterday's party. I set the cake on the picnic table, taped the banner, clipped a corner with a binder clip so it wouldn't flap, and turned on the speaker low, something light and upbeat, not enough to annoy strangers. Details always soothe me. They give the day edges. My sister, Lena, arrived first. Of course she did. She moves through the world like doors open in front of her. Her hair was perfect in that messy way that requires 40 minutes and special spray. She wore a white sundress and white sneakers that had never met dirt. She held a pastry box and grinned. Happy birthday, big bro. I hugged her, kissed her temple. Thanks for being on time. She peeked at the cake box and whistled. Fancy. Did they spell it right this time? They tried to make you the star, I said, deadpan. But I resisted. She laughed. Well, naturally. Then she stepped into the shelter, looked around, and tapped the blue plates. These are cute. We were okay, right then. The old rhythm. I've always loved Lena more than I've resented her, which is saying something. We were close as kids, shared a bunk bed and a secret language of eye rolls. Somewhere around high school the spotlight grew legs and followed her everywhere, and I learned how to step back so I didn't cast a shadow. It was easier for everyone that way. Or so I told myself. Mom and Dad pulled in together. Dad did that double honk he thinks is charming. Mom hopped out with her sunflowers, her hair clipped back with a tortoiseshell comb she's owned for 20 years. My birthday boy, she called, like I was 6 and about to blow out candles on a sheet cake with sprinkles. She hugged me. I smelled her hand lotion, lemongrass and something else I can never name. Dad clapped me on the shoulder in that way that is both affection and instruction. You got the coals? He asked, already reaching for the bag. Working on it, I said. We fell into roles. Dad bossed the grill like a foreman. I did the quiet heavy lifting. Mom fussed with the tablecloth and the sunflowers and told me to move the drinks cooler 3 inches to the left. Lena took selfies with the lake in the background, then one with me where she put her head on my shoulder and typed, celebrating my favorite human. She added a sparkle filter that made us both look like we'd slept 12 hours and never worried about money. By noon, the shelter was humming. My aunt and uncle, late as always, drifted in carrying a bowl of pasta salad the size of a car tire. My cousin Theo brought his twins, and the twins discovered the bubbles in the gift bags and immediately filled the air with shimmering spheres. Inspired, he told me, pointing his chin at the bubbles like they were art I'd curated. My chest warmed. For a second, I believed the day could be soft. Hey, Dad said, snapping tongs. Before we eat, let's get the song done so the kids can do cake. Song first? I asked. It wasn't how we usually did it, but I didn't care as long as the brisket didn't dry out and the cake didn't melt. Mom placed the cake on the center of the table and lifted the lid. Navy script. Clean edges. It made something in me relax. She stuck in the candles, 2 and 9, and looked up at me. Make a wish, honey. I stood behind the cake. Someone dimmed the music. The breeze ruffled the banner. Lena slid into place at my right, beaming, her hand brushing mine. Family clustered close, shoulders touching. The twins, sugar high already, bounced on their toes. Dad cleared his throat and raised his hands like a conductor. All right, on 3. I inhaled. If you've ever been the kid who did the chores, who filled the gaps, who didn't make demands, you know the small, unreasonable hope that shows up anyway. Maybe this year they'll see me without me having to point at myself. Maybe this year, the song will feel like a hug. 1, 2. They started. Happy birthday to you. The sound gathered and rolled, familiar and funny and off-key in the best way. I smiled. My eyes prickled. Someone snapped a photo. The twins tried to sing harmony and produced chaos. I wanted to remember this exact version of my family, imperfect and dog-eared and mine. Happy birthday to you. I looked at Mom. She looked at Lena. I looked at Dad. He looked at Lena. A tiny warning bell rang in my chest, faint, like a fire alarm with dying batteries. Happy birthday, dear. A single beat, everyone leaning into the blank where a name goes. Lena. The name hit the table like a dropped glass. All at once, every mouth shaped it. Every voice carried it. Happy birthday, dear Luna. The twins screeched it like a victory chant. My aunt elongated the E like she was on a stage. Phone screens rose, recording. My sister's eyes went wide, then soft, then guilty? Maybe I imagined that. Maybe not. I stood still. Air left my lungs in a small, stupid rush, like I'd been punched but only just realized it. Happy birthday to you. The last line swelled, sweet as frosting. Candles flickered. Blue plates flashed in the corner of my eye like a flag I couldn't wave. Lena's hand tightened on mine for a second, a pulse of warmth. Then she let go. In that moment, I understood a dozen smaller moments that had led here. The misprinted cake, the my birthday boy that could be said to anyone, the way every plan I made somehow became a backdrop for someone else's story. Make a wish. Mom chirped, her eyes shining, her phone angled for another photo. I looked at the candles. 2 and 9. The numbers blurred, then snapped into focus. My mouth felt dry. The wind teased the flame on the 9. I didn't move. Dad cleared his throat, impatient, as if I were holding up the day. Go on, Noah, he said. Don't keep your sister waiting. I drew in a breath that tasted like smoke and sugar and something like the edge of a storm. I didn't blow. Not yet. I wanted one more second to decide whether I was going to swallow this like I always did, or do something I wouldn't be able to take back. And then Lena whispered, very quietly, without looking at me. I didn't ask them to. The wind lifted the edge of the tablecloth and set it down again. Somewhere behind us, a bubble popped. I stared at the candles, my own name small and silent in my throat, and held that second like it was breakable glass. The candles flickered. My throat felt tight. Everyone was waiting for me to blow, like this was the most natural thing in the world, like I wasn't standing at my own birthday party listening to my family sing to someone else. Go on, honey, Mom said, phone still raised, her finger hovering over the button. Make it a good wish. Lena leaned closer. Her smile stayed on, picture perfect, but her voice came low enough for only me to hear. I swear, I didn't know. I didn't plan this. It didn't matter whether she meant it. The fact was, the entire shelter full of my relatives had just sung her name instead of mine. Even the kids had chanted it like it was carved in stone. My chest burned, but I pasted on a smile because that's what I'd been trained to do since childhood. Keep it smooth, keep it light, don't cause trouble. I bent down and blew the candles out in one breath. The cheer that followed wasn't for me. It never had been. Good job, Lena, my aunt squealed, clapping too loudly. She actually kissed Lena's cheek. Dad was already cutting the cake. Not once did he look in my direction. Let's get a piece for the birthday girl first, he said, sliding the knife under the corner slice. The birthday girl. My jaw tightened. Lena shifted beside me, uncomfortable now, and raised her hand. Guys, it's actually Noah's. But Mom jumped in before she could finish. Sweetheart, sit. Let us serve you. You're glowing today. Then she laughed, a high tinkling sound that carried just far enough to drown out Lena's protest. Someone handed me a flimsy plate, but I couldn't bring myself to take it. I stood there, watching slice after slice of my cake pass from hand to hand, listening to forks scrape on paper, hearing them all gush over how moist and sweet it was. Nobody asked if I wanted the first piece. Nobody asked what my wish was. Theo, my cousin, passed by balancing 2 plates for his twins. He gave me a wink. Hey man, let the princess have her moment. You know how it is. Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, just a hairline crack. But it was enough. I stepped back from the table, away from the chatter and the clinking plastic cups, and walked toward the edge of the shelter where the wind came off the lake. I could hear their laughter behind me, Lena trying again to correct them, Mom brushing her off, Dad launching into one of his stories like this was the most natural party in the world. The bubbles the twins had blown earlier floated past me, fragile, glimmering, gone in a second. I stared at them until my vision blurred. Behind me, Dad called, "Noah, don't wander off, we need you to take a group photo." Of course. They needed me for the camera, for the picture that would hang in Mom's kitchen. A picture where I'd stand off to the side, holding someone else's leftovers, smiling like my name had been sung loud and clear. But for the first time in years, I didn't move. I stayed at the edge, letting the breeze cool my face, my heart beating out one hard truth: this wasn't a mistake. This was who my family had always been. And I had to decide whether I was finally done being invisible. The wind off the lake tugged at my shirt, carrying the smell of charcoal and frosting. Behind me, the family clustered together like a stage cast, smiling for the photo. I could hear Dad's booming voice. "Everyone squeeze in. Lena in the middle. Perfect." The words cut sharper than I expected. Lena in the middle. Not me, not the actual birthday boy. Just Lena. Always Lena. I turned slightly, enough to see them through the corner of my eye. My sister, trying to look small, half-heartedly motioning that I should be in front. But Mom waved her hand dismissively and laughed. "We'll take one with Noah after. Right now, let's get the birthday girl." Birthday girl. Again. Something inside me twisted. I wasn't a kid anymore. I wasn't powerless. I was 29 years old, standing in front of the family I'd spent years trying to earn a place in, and I finally saw it for what it was. I had never been in the picture. I sat down on the wooden bench near the shelter's edge, pretending to fiddle with my phone. My cousin Theo's wife, Sarah, walked past carrying a plate of cake and paused. "Hey," she said, lowering her voice. "That was weird. You okay?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, fine. Just enjoying the view." She studied me for a beat, then nodded slowly. "You know, you don't have to laugh it off all the time." Then she walked away, leaving me with words that stung more than comforted. When I finally looked back, the photo was over. People were scattering, kids chasing each other, adults sipping sodas, someone already lighting the grill for round 2 of hot dogs. The moment had passed for everyone but me. For me, it had just solidified into a stone I couldn't swallow. "Noah," Mom called, motioning me over. "Help your father with the cooler, please." Of course. The default setting. Not the guest of honor, not the celebrated son. Just the helper. The one who hauls, fixes, cleans. Dad handed me the cooler with a grunt. "Get the ice refilled, will you?" He didn't even wait for an answer before turning back to the grill. I gripped the handle, my knuckles whitening. The cooler was heavy, sloshing with half-melted cubes. I carried it toward the car, each step echoing in my head like a drumbeat. Invisible, invisible, invisible. When I opened the trunk, I saw the gift bags I'd made, the ones with bubbles, stickers, little trinkets for the kids. Nobody had mentioned them. Nobody had noticed. They were still stacked neatly, untouched. I stood there for a long time, the cooler at my feet, staring at those bags. Something inside me whispered, if you disappeared right now, would anyone notice? Behind me, I heard the laughter rise again. This time, Lena's voice carried above the rest, calling out something that made the whole shelter roar. And that was when the thought shifted. Not would they notice if I left, But what if I finally made them notice? I stood at the trunk, staring at those forgotten gift bags like they were a mirror of me, carefully prepared, full of thought, and completely overlooked. My chest tightened. The laughter behind me rolled on, effortless, like waves against rocks. I could pick out Dad's booming chuckle, Mom's high-pitched trill, Lena's smooth voice slipping into every silence. I could almost map the whole scene without looking. They didn't need me there to complete the picture. They never had. I closed the trunk with more force than necessary. The bang turned a few heads, but no one came over. No one asked. Walking back, I saw Lena standing near the cake table. Her eyes caught mine, and for a second, guilt flickered there. She motioned me closer, like she wanted to talk. But then Mom looped an arm around her shoulders and whisked her toward a cluster of ants, beaming. "Doesn't she look radiant today?" 25 never looked better. Radiant. 25. My age didn't even get mentioned. I stopped in my tracks. My body felt heavy, like I was dragging chains through the grass. I sat on the edge of the low stone wall near the lake, away from the shelter, just far enough that I could see them without being swallowed by them. Theo wandered over with one of his twins tugging at his hand. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. "Go ahead," I said. He lowered himself onto the wall with a grunt, handed his kid a juice box, and gave me a sideways glance. "Rough day for the birthday boy, huh?" I let out a short, humorless laugh. "Funny you're the first one to call me that." Theo chewed on his lip, then shrugged. "Yeah, they're not subtle about who they center. Never have been." The words sat heavy between us. It wasn't just me, then. Other people saw it too. Before I could respond, Mom's voice cut across the lawn. "Noah! We need you for the grill. Your dad says the coals are dying." Of course. Always called when something was broken. Never when something was being celebrated. Theo gave me a look, half sympathy, half warning, and stood. "You gonna go?" I stared at the shelter, at my family gathered around a cake with my sister's name on it, at my mother's smile that seemed to stretch right past me. My hands curled into fists. "Maybe not this time," I said. Theo raised his brows but didn't push. He just nodded slowly and walked back, leaving me on the wall with my own pulse thundering in my ears. The thing about moments like this is they sneak up on you. You spend years swallowing small slights, telling yourself they're accidents, jokes, oversights. Then one day, you realize it's not small anymore. It's a pattern, a truth, and it's been strangling you quietly the whole time. And as I sat there, the truth finally came clear. If I didn't speak up now, I never would. The lake shimmered under the sun, calm and steady, while inside me everything churned like a storm. I'd spent years trying to keep my head down, convincing myself that being the quiet one was enough. But sitting there, watching my own birthday dissolve into a celebration for someone else, I realized something simple and brutal. Silence hadn't earned me respect. It had erased me. I stood, brushing the grass from my jeans, and walked back toward the shelter. My steps felt heavy, like wading through mud, but I didn't stop. The chatter grew louder as I got closer, every laugh puncturing deeper. Dad was at the grill, frowning at the coals. "Finally," he muttered when he saw me. "Grab the lighter fluid, would you?" I didn't move. My hands were steady, my voice flat. "It's not my job to save this barbecue." His head snapped up, surprised. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before I could answer, Mom swooped in with her practiced smile. "Oh, Noah's just tired. Don't be dramatic, honey. It's a party." A party. My party. And yet every single moment had reminded me I was a background character in my own story. I glanced at Lena, who stood awkwardly by the cake table, chewing her lip. She looked like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the courage. So I found mine. I stepped onto the bench by the table, raising my voice over the hum of chatter. "Hey, everyone!" The noise faltered. Forks paused mid-air. Faces turned toward me, puzzled. "I just want to say thank you for coming," I began, my tone deceptively calm. "It means a lot that you all showed up to celebrate." I let the pause hang. "My sister's birthday." A ripple of laughter passed through the group, uneasy, like they thought I was joking. But I didn't smile. "Funny thing is, it's not Lena's birthday. It's mine." The air changed instantly. My aunt's laugh died in her throat. Dad straightened at the grill. Mom's smile froze in place, then twitched. "It was an accident," she said quickly, voice light. "Just a silly mix-up with the song." "No," I cut in, sharper than I'd meant. "It wasn't just a mix-up. The cake had her name on it. The song had her name in it. And not one of you noticed. Not one of you thought to stop." Silence pressed down like a weight. A few cousins shifted uncomfortably. Theo avoided my eyes. Lena's face was pale. "For 29 years, I've been the one hauling coolers, fixing broken chairs, cleaning up after parties. I've been the one you call when you need help. But today was the one day, that was supposed to be about me. And somehow, you managed to erase me anyway." My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. "So go ahead. Eat the cake. Take the pictures. Celebrate my sister if that's what makes you happy. But don't call it my birthday. Because clearly, it never was." I stepped down from the bench, the echo of my words hanging in the still air. For the first time all day, every pair of eyes was on me. For a long moment, no one said a word. The only sound was the hiss of the grill and the faint ripple of the lake. I could feel their stares pressing into me, searching for some signal that this was just another one of Noah's dry jokes. But I didn't give them one. Finally, Mom broke the silence with a laugh that sounded brittle. "Oh, sweetheart, you're overreacting. Nobody forgot you. It was just a mix-up." "Mix-up?" My voice came out sharper than I expected. When the cake literally had Lena's name on it. When Dad called her the birthday girl. When everyone here sang her name instead of mine. That's not a mix-up. That's a choice. A choice to keep treating me like I don't matter. Lena's cheeks burned red. She stepped forward, her hands trembling a little. "He's right. It wasn't fair." Her voice was small, but it carried. "I told Mom and Dad earlier, the bakery messed up the cake. They should have fixed it, but they didn't. And when everyone sang, I wanted to stop it. But I didn't." Her eyes flicked toward me, full of guilt. "I'm sorry, Noah." The words hit me harder than I expected. Not because they fixed anything, but because they were the first apology I'd heard from anyone all day. Dad cleared his throat, waving a hand like he was brushing away smoke. "Enough. This is supposed to be a celebration. No need to get dramatic." I felt something snap inside me. "You think this is dramatic?" My voice rose. "Try standing in the middle of your own birthday party while everyone sings to someone else. Try realizing the only role you've ever played in this family is the background worker, the one who sets it all up so everyone else can shine. Do you have any idea what that feels like?" No one answered. The silence said enough. Theo shifted uncomfortably, then muttered, "He's not wrong." His wife gave him a sharp look, but he didn't take it back. For once, the truth was out, hanging in the air like a storm cloud. and I wasn't about to stuff it back in. I looked around at the faces, relatives I'd bought gifts for, cousins whose weddings I'd helped fund, parents whose mortgage I'd covered more than once. All of them staring at me like I'd ruined a perfectly good afternoon. And in that moment, a thought crystallized, cold and clear. Maybe ruining it was the only way they'd ever remember it was mine. I stepped back from the shelter, every muscle tight, every breath sharp. "Enjoy your party," I said, my voice steady now. "But don't call it mine. You already made it clear who it belongs to." Then I turned toward the path leading out of the park. And for the first time that day, nobody tried to stop me. The gravel path crunched under my shoes as I walked away from the shelter. Behind me, the voices slowly rose again, muted now, like the volume had been turned down. I could almost picture it. Mom trying to smooth things over, Dad shaking his head, relatives whispering behind paper plates. Lena probably shrinking into herself, carrying the guilt I hadn't asked her to hold. But nobody called my name. Nobody ran after me. I reached the parking lot and leaned against my car, my hands gripping the edge of the trunk. My chest heaved, adrenaline buzzing through me. For a second, I thought about just getting in, turning the key, and driving until the park was a speck in the rearview mirror. But the weight of the cooler and the untouched gift bags still sat in the back, anchors tying me to the day. The absurdity of it all hit me like a punch. I had planned everything. The food, the decorations, even the silly bubbles for the kids. I had done everything right. And still, somehow, I was the extra. "Hey!" a voice called softly. I turned. Lena stood a few feet away, her dress swaying in the breeze, her eyes wide and uncertain. She must have slipped away while the others were distracted. "I'm sorry," she said again, her voice breaking this time. "I should have stopped them. I should have. I don't know. Done something." I stared at her. My throat was tight, but words finally came. "It wasn't your job to stop them. It was theirs not to forget me." Her eyes filled with tears. "They didn't forget you, Noah. They never see you. And I let it happen too." The honesty stung more than denial ever could. "You shouldn't have to fight for your own name on your own birthday," she whispered. For the first time that day, I believed she meant it. Still, the anger inside me wasn't ready to soften. "Then why didn't you say something?" She looked down at her shoes, her voice small. "Because it's easier to let them love me than to risk them turning on me." There it was. The truth I'd always suspected but never heard aloud. She wasn't just the golden child by accident. She was the safe one, the easy one, the one they could adore without being challenged. And I was the one who kept everything running, invisible by design. I exhaled, long and shaky. "I can't keep doing this, Lena. I can't keep being the background." Her gaze snapped up to mine. "So what are you going to do?" That was the question, wasn't it? For the first time, I realized I didn't have an answer. Not yet. But I knew one thing. Walking back into that shelter and pretending nothing had happened wasn't an option anymore. I leaned back against the car, the metal warm under the sun, my hands gripping the edge until my knuckles ached. Lena stood there like she was waiting for me to tell her what came next. But I didn't even know myself. For 29 years, I had been the reliable one, the helper, the fixer, the silent glue. And what had it gotten me? A birthday party where my own name didn't exist. "Do you know the worst part?" I said finally, my voice low. "I'm not even surprised. Hurt, yes. Angry, definitely. But surprised, no. This is just normal." Lena's face crumpled. "Noah, you've always been the star. I continued, not cruelly, just plainly. And I told myself that was okay. That if I kept my head down, if I worked hard enough, if I carried the weight for everyone, one day they'd see me too. But today proved they never will. Her tears spilled over then, sliding down her cheeks. She shook her head, almost desperately. I don't want it to be like this. I don't want to be the reason you feel erased. It's not about you, I said, softer this time. It's about them. About all of them. You could vanish tomorrow and they'd still find a way to ignore me. Because that's who they are. And I'm done pretending I don't see it. She swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. Then what do you do now? I looked past her, back at the shelter where the laughter was slowly picking up again, like my outburst had been nothing more than a hiccup in their day. The banner still fluttered, the cake still sat half-eaten, and the family still circled around Lena as though nothing had changed. The sight made something settle inside me, not calm exactly, but clarity. I leave, I said simply. Not just today. For good. Lena's eyes widened. You don't mean that. I do. I straightened, pulling my car keys from my pocket. I can't control how they treat me. But I can control whether I keep showing up for it. And I'm done showing up. She stepped closer, almost reaching for my arm but stopping short. If you go, you might lose them forever. The wind off the lake rushed past us, cool and steady. I met her eyes. I already lost them a long time ago. And with that, I opened the driver's side door. The hinge creaked, loud in the quiet space between us. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Lena whispered, "Can I come with you?"